A powerful winter storm is still whipping its way across the nation, creating some dangerous conditions. Among the areas hit hard, Colorado. That's the video you're seeing here, where winter is back with a vengeance. And tonight, there are winter weather advisories from Texas to Indiana. More on those conditions coming up. But first, we focus here at home. While our conditions are not as severe, the current weather pattern is something we have not seen on the Central Coast since 1990. Good evening, I'm Mark Cotterobles.
And I'm Jasmine Veal. Temperatures are supposed to dip into the teens in some places tonight. So we have 360 coverage on this cold snap. Our Rachel Lane standing by in Santa Maria with a look at what measures are being taken tonight to protect some people. But first, Norm Hoffman in the Weather Center tracking these freeze warnings. And Norm, it's really been 13 years since you've seen this type of weather pattern?
Yeah, I can remember the freeze of the December 1990. There have been a couple of cold spells since then, 2007, but not a pattern similar to this with such dry air. Take a look. The freeze warnings are out in all the areas of pink, and in the lighter pink down on the south coast, down at Goleta, Carpinteria, and Santa Barbara, there's a frost advisory. Now, temperatures there will be in the low to mid 30s, but right along the coast, I expect low to mid 30s. Elsewhere, lows in the upper teens and the 20s. Paso Robles tonight, 19 degrees. So it's going to get colder than I've seen it in a while around the Central Coast. Now, I'll tell you how long this will last a little bit later in the broadcast. Mark?
All right, thanks, Norman. With that said, warming centers across the Central Coast are opening their doors.
We want to go to Rachel now, who's at the New Love Community Center in Santa Maria. And Rachel, they anticipate the center will be open then for the rest of the week.
Jazz, that's right. They expect to be open at least until Saturday. Now, temperatures have to dip down to 35 degrees or there has to be a 50% chance of rain for warming centers to be available.
I reside here for the next couple of months.
A pair of jeans, a bag of belongings, and a bunk. It may not be much, but for Joseph Maldonado, it's all he has.
Clothes, hygiene, pretty much it, a bedroll.
And now a warm place he can stay. Joseph lost nearly everything in the Town Center Inn hotel fire back in October, but says he's lucky the Good Samaritan shelter took him in, especially when space is so limited.
We've been over 115 clients for over the last year at least. That's why we weren't actually able to have the warming shelter here on the Good Samaritan campus this year, because we're so impacted.
Demand so high, for the first time the New Love Community Center is being used as a warming center. Other shelters like the Prado Day Center in San Luis Obispo are expecting a large turnout because of the cold.
There are deaths from hypothermia on the street. Unfortunately, some of our homeless on the street that are battling with addiction, you know, we're drinking too much, not realizing how cold it is, not covering up, falling asleep like that, and then that's when we have, you know, the problems arise.
Despite losing almost everything, Joseph Maldonado says he's thankful he has a place to stay.
They make us feel content here. They make us understand that we have to appreciate what they're doing for us.
Every person who comes into this center not only gets a place to stay, but a warm meal, but a bag of hygiene products like what I'm holding right here. And these shelters are always in need for donations. If you're interested in making any donations, you can head over to our website to find all that information. Rachel Lane, on scene in Santa Maria, your Central Coast News.
All right, so again, here are those locations for the warming centers in Santa Barbara County, the New Love Community Center there in Santa Maria, First United Methodist Church in Lompoc, St. Michael's University Church in Isla Vista, and the Trinity Episcopal Church in Santa Barbara. Let's go to San Luis Obispo County. The Prado Day Center opened as a warming center and will stay open until 4:30 this Saturday night.
And our 360 coverage, it continues with how this cold snap could affect our local ag fields. A lettuce grower tells us that when the cold comes in, the field workers, well, they put in less hours, losing out on their typical 10-hour shift. And at the end of the day, it means less money for everyone. When it comes to crop damage, many crops are fully developed, as you see here, and can't withstand the cold. It is a different story, though, for young citrus trees growing up and down the Central Coast. In some areas, those had to be covered by blankets, and avocado trees were moved into greenhouses.
Bottom line is, like I say, I think you're going to get your production day impacted by 20–25%.
Well, growers said if the freeze continues, they might have to bring in those warming helicopters to circulate the air.
So our 360 coverage continues with the wicked weather affecting other parts of the country now, and you're going to agree, yeah, we don't have it so bad.
While we might consider this to be cold, the high temperature today in Minot, North Dakota was 8 degrees. Jim Olson from our affiliate KXMC sent us this personal message.
Hello, Central Coast from Central North Dakota, and I got news for you. This is not surfing weather. We're at about 5 degrees above zero now. We'll get down to about 10 below tonight. Stay there for the next week or so. It could be 25 below zero on Saturday morning when people wake up around here. This is the kind of weather where the only surfing you do is walking along the ice and hoping that you can slide into wherever it is you want to end up and not end up with a broken wrist. Yeah, this is the kind of weather where I always say you have to keep 2 feet underneath you at all times. There's no long strides allowed, because if you step too far ahead of you, you might hit a piece of ice and end up with a broken wrist. Yeah, it's the kind of weather where we see cars and pickup trucks in parking lots with their engines running because people don't want to turn them off and let them get cold while they go inside and do whatever it is they need to do in the store. So while you wrap yourself up in a couple of beach towels to stay warm after you're riding the surf, just think of us here in North Dakota, where we're wrapping ourselves up in extra parkas to avoid frostbite. Although we are going to have something you won't have, and that's a white Christmas. Back to you, Mark and Chaz.
He got us there.
Yeah, we had a white Christmas last year in Northern California, but we have to remind Jim, when we do go surfing here on the Central Coast, we are wearing those wetsuits.
Oh, the water's very, very chilly. But also, you know, Jim has a point about people having to be very careful out there. On a more serious side of things, this weather across other parts of the U.S. has been blamed for at least 6 deaths so far. For instant coverage, though, on this cold snap, stay with us on air and online, and please follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We are on there 24/7 with updates. Plus, what are you doing to stay warm? Please post your photos.
Well, now to a Center for Investigative Action to follow-up file this evening. 15 Mexican drug cartel suspects have been caught on the Central Coast after a 5-month-long investigation. Law enforcement seized more than 2 pounds of heroin, also an ounce of meth with a street value of over $100,000, and that's not including the drugs seized this morning. Some drugs were found hidden inside of the scopes of rifles that were seized. Deputies also found exotic guns. One location had 40 of them.
This is what we're up against. They're armoring, putting body armor on and arming themselves with guns. And they're protecting their money, they're protecting their drugs, and at what cost, or how far will they go?
Well, 10 of the suspects were arrested across San Luis Obispo County. The others are from King City and Riverside County. The Department of Homeland Security tells us that they believe it is the Sinaloa drug cartel that has been smuggling drugs onto the Central Coast by ponga boats.
Well, now to the latest on the Santa Maria homicide. Another of the original 11 defendants charged in the brutal gang-related murder of Anthony Ibarra has accepted a plea deal. Pedro Torres has agreed to plead no contest to being an accessory to murder after the fact in this alleged kidnapping, torture, and killing of Ibarra last March in a home on West Donovan Road there in Santa Maria. So Torres is the second, though, of 11 defendants in this case to accept a plea deal, the other being Carmen Cardenas, also charged with being an accessory after the fact.
Yeah, it is an enhancement on the charge. So the charge is accessory to murder, and the enhancement is for the purposes of the criminal street gang.
Like Cardenas, Torres has agreed to be sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now the remaining Ibarra defendants will be back in court next week. The former Lompoc federal prison guard convicted of second-degree murder in the shooting death of another officer is seeking a third trial. Timothy McNally is hoping a judge will now let him have another chance to try and convince a jury the shooting was an accident and not murder. Gary Bent was shot and killed in a Lompoc hotel room last year. The judge now is expected to rule next week on all of this. McNally faces 25 years to life in prison.
On to more local news this evening. The Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors has voted to return 24/7 operations to the North County Jail Branch in Santa Maria. Doing so should actually reduce costs, since authorities will not need to make that 140-mile round trip. Police Chief Ralph Martin in Santa Maria says it will also speed up the booking process. The Board of Supervisors' approval will open the Northern Branch Jail this coming January.
So we have California covered as the nation transitions to the new Affordable Care Act. Well, tonight we are learning of a potential lawsuit against California's healthcare exchange, which is called Covered California. The American Civil Liberties Union says that the site needs to have trained counselors to assist the public and has to promote users to register to vote. The union says this is required by the National Voter Registration Act. Meantime, Covered California says it is complying with federal law and will offer those services in July.
More local news. Salvation Army bell ringers say for the first time in years they have been kicked off at the property of two valuable fundraising locations in San Luis Obispo County. One location is the Vons and Paso Robles. The other locations are Arroyo Grande at the Walmart and Albertsons. No property managers were available for comment, but Salvation Army volunteers say without these two locations, they'll be losing $35,000 this year.
We purchase food to distribute to those that are hungry, which serve thousands of families, and I mean thousands, in just SLO County alone. So it affects every aspect of what we're able to do.
Well, volunteers will still collect donations at 40 other sites across the county. Well, it is that time of year again for the annual Santa Maria Christmas Parade of Lights.
I'm excited. KCOY will be bringing you live parade coverage this Saturday. So the parade, a really fun event for the whole community. This is video from last year. So every year you have the homemade floats from all over the county gliding down the streets of Broadway. It's just really neat to see all the detail and the thought that goes into these floats, the bands, performances, and of course, Santa will also make an appearance.
And Jazz and I will be there hosting the parade live on KCOY this Saturday starting at 5:30. If you don't tune in, we hope to see you there. More information is being released about a survey meant to stop sexual assault in the military. Coming up, we'll have more on the investigation.
Plus, dozens of whales expected to die now after becoming stranded on a Florida beach. So we're going to have the latest, though, still on the rescue efforts underway tonight and the mystery behind this strange behavior.